everyone. Welcome to the show. So lots of good news to share today about Donald Trump and his trials. First and foremost, you may have heard the biggest story. Donald Trump has personally been ordered to pay $355 million. This is in the New York fraud trial. We finally have the verdict. The judge has barred Trump personally from conducting business in the state of New York for a period of 3 years. Also, both Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump have been ordered to pay $4 million each. They've each been barred from doing business in the state for 2 years. And then in addition to the Trumps, Judge Engoron ordered their former CFO, Allen Weisselberg, to pay $1 million, and they're not going to be able to pull a fast one. They're not going to be able to just cut checks to each other. You know, the Trump organization isn't just going to be able to slide a check to Allen Weisselberg and, you know, let him pay out of the company funds to keep him quiet or cover Don and Eric's portion of this, because the court monitor will remain in place until all of this is resolved. So they still have this court-appointed babysitter, essentially, looking over their shoulders that has to approve every financial transaction. So Trump, of course, is planning to appeal this decision, but as with the ruling in the E. Jean Carroll case, he has to put up the full $355 million plus 9% interest in an escrow account. So if he wants to appeal this, he still has to come up with that money. Now, I will say, news broke earlier this week, Trump will be getting a financial windfall soon. The FEC had just recently approved a merger between his failing social media site, Truth Social, and that special acquisition group that has been pending for a while. They've been under investigation. They didn't know if it was going to happen. So if they allow it, which it sounds like they're going to, the merger could put $3 billion in Trump's pocket. Now, that's not going to happen overnight. So he's still going to have to pony up in the meantime. And, you know, that means he's going to have to sell off some assets because by all accounts, he does not have that kind of liquid cash. So according to a former prosecutor that I heard on MSNBC today, Trump has already been selling off properties, or he's at least attempting to do so. He has properties listed. So he more than likely will be able to come up with the cash. The real killer in this ruling is the part about him and his sons being banned from doing business in New York. So he is not going to be able to make any money from New York for 3 years or until he gets a favorable appeal ruling. So, you know, that turns off the spigot on several sources of income for him and his sons. And in the meantime, as you all know, he owes now this money plus nearly $90 million to E. Jean Carroll. I mean, this is a hell of a lot of money. And the bad news has just kept coming this week for Trump, because earlier this week, the judge in his hush money to a porn star election interference case said, we will be going to trial next month. Jury selection will begin on March 25th. Trump is not happy. He was trying to get the whole thing thrown out. So I'm going to play a portion of what he said for you, because honestly, it was just 4 minutes of him rambling and repeating himself over and over and over again. It was like watching a crackhead out on a sketchy street corner, you know, in a bad part of town, just rambling. So here's the best part.
Virtually every legal scholar says they don't understand that there's no crime. Even if he was guilty of something, there's no crime.
So there you have it, everyone. Even if he's guilty, right? Even if so, playing his accordion and doing all of his stuff, even if he's guilty, there's no crime. I mean, virtually every legal scholar says so. And if Trump is repeating it, you must know. I mean, it must be true. You just know the sheep are going to buy it. And that's the really sad part. They're going to be repeating that on social media, just like they thought this New York fraud trial was a done deal and he won. That he won on appeal and it was a fake case. They never saw this $355 million verdict coming. It's really sad. Anyway, Trump's attorneys were threatened with sanctions at the end of the hearing for the hush money case because they still haven't turned over all of the discovery items. So the judge warned them, quote, there could be sanctions for failure to comply. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we are now only 6 weeks away from this trial. This is the first criminal trial for Trump. So a lot riding on that trial. And it sets the tone, really, for the other trials coming up. I really do think, I mean, if they fall flat on their face in that trial, meaning the Manhattan district attorney, if they can't get a conviction on anything, on any of those 30-some counts, it's not going to look good. And I think it could set up the next trials for failure. So I'm very concerned about it. Next up is news about Trump's legal funds. According to Bloomberg news outlet, Trump's super PACs have only $23.5 million left to spend on his legal fees. Now, that may sound like a lot to you and I, but last year in 2023, Trump spent $51.2 million on his legal fees, and consider none of the cases had gone to trial yet. None of them really were even close to going to trial, except for the E. Jean Carroll case, which didn't go to trial until January of this year. So he's going to have a hard time. He's going to have to start using some of his own funds, or he's going to have to go, kick in the door of the Republican National Committee and hit them up. He's going to have to hit up his supporters for more donations. But that means every penny is probably going to go to legal fees instead of campaign expenses. And it means for the RNC, it's going to leave them tapped out. It's going to leave them dry to help their candidates, other Republican candidates. So this is an issue. I also have a bit of good news regarding Trump's classified documents case, which is not something I get to say very often with Ms. Margaritaville down in Florida, Ms. Judge Aileen Cannon, Aileen towards Trump Cannon. So here's what happened. She just denied one of Trump's ridiculous requests. He had asked the judge to once again delay pretrial deadlines. Now, she did give him a little wiggle room because she refused the request. She said, no, February 22nd is still the drop dead date. You have to have all of your documents, anything you want to raise for pretrial. It has to be submitted by February 22nd. However, she said she will consider late filings on a case-by-case basis, essentially. That, they'll have to justify the reason if they file something in beyond that date. But yeah, she gave him that wiggle room. I also have a couple of quick, amusing details to share with you. Not that the $355 million ruling wasn't amusing. That was hysterical. But New York Attorney General Letitia James, she is the one who brought that case, the now $355 million verdict ruling case. She posted a Valentine's Day poem on Twitter this week, and MAGA users just lost their shit. She wrote, quote, "Roses are red, violets are blue. No one is above the law, even when you think the rules don't apply to you." So they were freaking out. People on Twitter were leaving nasty messages and saying, oh, you're the one that's in trouble. You're the one that's going to go down. I would just like to know, how did MAGA know that Letitia James was referring to Trump? Right? She didn't mention his name. She just said, no one's above the law, even if you think the rules don't apply to you. They just automatically knew she was referring to Trump. Isn't that interesting? And then last but not least, Trump is using the Pee Wee Herman defense for his mental incompetence. So he's using the I meant to do that whole defense. According to Trump, he totally meant to mix up Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi. He also says that he purposely inserts Obama's name instead of Biden when he talks about who he's running against, who he beat in the last election. He says he totally means to do that. Yeah, sure. All right. Anyway, the sun is aligned with Pluto. Sorry, as you can tell, I have watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure too many times. It's like a big cable knit sweater that someone keeps knitting and knitting and knitting. I know, I'm disturbed. I need help. All right. Someone has to carry it on. He's gone now. Paul Rubin is gone. So it's me. It's on me. All right. I will let you know when I hear more. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy this ruling. I know I'm going to. I'm going to have a Coke. You guys know, don't drink, don't smoke. What do? I drink Coke. Coke from Mexico without GMOs in it. All right. Take care. Love you all. Please hit that subscribe button if you have not. Please like, please share. If you can donate, really helps. Appreciate it. Love you all. Talk with you soon.